I was born in Blair Atholl, 1956, and I did 47 years in the railway, retired now. I left school, I did 5th and 6th year in school, and I wanted to go to art college, but I failed. I know it was a history of art, I'm sure it was, that I needed in those days. I thought, right, I'll take a year out, go to night school, whatever, and get my history of art, get into art college. My father, who worked in the railway as well, he was in the signal box. He said they're looking for trainee drivers in the railway. I thought, oh, that'll do for a year until I get back into college. 47 years later, I just stuck it. I stayed. I loved it. You start off traction trainee, and after I think it was 6 months, you then became a second man. You were with a driver all the time, and you were coupling the engine off and on and making the driver's tea, things like that. Then after 5 years as a second man, you got passed out to be a driver, but you were only a relief driver at that time until a vacancy came up. I got my driver's post in 87, 12 years as a second man. 87 and then finished as a driver in 2022. There were 6 of us started at the same time in Perth, and 5 of them moved away down south to get driving sooner. But I loved Perth, driving up to Inverness, those in Aberdeen, all over Scotland, and I didn't fancy moving down south. So I could have been a driver a lot quicker, but I was happy in Perth. Whereas nowadays, vacancy comes up, somebody off the street put in for it, and they're a driver right away. Which, yeah, I don't agree with that. There's a lot of mistakes made. Well, not a lot, but there are mistakes made because they don't have the experience. When I started, like I say, 75, most of the drivers were from the Second World War. They came out of the army, railway job, oh, that'll do. And just drink. A lot of them were virtual alcoholics at that time. And us young guys, second men, we did a lot of the driving because they were lying in the corner, drunk. And whereas nowadays, zero tolerance, which it should be. You're on your own now as a driver. Whereas in those days, you always had a second man with 2 years so you could talk, have a good laugh in the cab. And it can get a bit lonely at times in the cab. Nobody's allowed in the cab when the train's moving, unless they have a cab pass. But network rail guys, they can come up. Your manager can come in, but nobody else. But years ago, we used to be coming out of Edinburgh, the train, and the guard would come up and say, coming up to the fourth rail bridge, I've got some American tourists want to take photos. So, yeah, bring them up. So they come up the front and be taking photos. It was great. No issues, but now they don't want that. Which I can see that point. I'm not a computer buff. I can barely switch them on. But the faults in the trains, you just get lights coming up, and you have to go back and have a look, computer see what's on, and it's above my head, all that stuff. I've seen a few of the new drivers. They're driving white knuckled, they're trying to make a mistake, and that to me is not the way to drive a train. You should be relaxed. Concentrate, obviously, yeah, but yeah, that's go through school, the training school. One of the things I've heard they're told is, it's difficult to get in this job, very easy to get out. Watch what you're doing. Which is not something you want in your mind. Most people, they join the railway, that's them for life. It's very rarely you see somebody leave. Used to have a train, a freight train. You left Perth, I think it was about 12 noon. And you had coal wagons for Murtley was the first one. You dropped some off, the full ones. Dunkeld, Blair Atholl. And we walked that up to Dalwhinnie, changed over with an Inverness crew coming down with the empty wagons, and as we went back to Perth, we picked the empty ones up from Blair Atholl, Pitlochry. Okay. Other freight trains, you come up, there'll be a passenger behind you, so you get put in the yard at Blair Atholl. And a lot of drivers say, right, come on laddie, let's go over to the pub for half an hour. But one of my favourite jobs up here was the snowplough. There was two engines and a big V-shaped plough at the front and the back. Just went back and forward to Dalwhinnie, keep Drummochtar open, and some of those drifts you were hitting, they were up level with the cab. Great fun, absolutely loved it. They'd reached an agreement that you did your 8 hours and you had to be back for the end of the shift. Latterly, the maximum shift was 10 hours, but there was other shifts you were only doing 5 hours. So it balanced out through the week. But my father, the signalman, he, before he finished up, he was on the relief, which meant he worked every box from Blair Atholl to Stanley. And his home station was Pitlochry. And if he was working, say, down the Cardiff signal box, he got walking time from, I think it was Struan, to walk from there up to the signal box. 20 minutes to the mile, I think they got. Like, they all had cars, so they all drove, but they still got this walking time in those days, which made their money up. It used to do 12 hours a day at Cardiff, 7 days a week, a long week. In those days, it didn't. You could work every single day of the year, but there's not the health and safety there is now. You can only do a certain amount of hours, and then you need time off. But there was a couple of times he was in Cardiff, signal box or Spiddle, one of the two of them, snowed in. So he would phone Pitlochry to get the snowplow to go up, get him and run him home. Mm. It's a shame to see Blair Atholl station to go away. It really, it has gone.